this one, you want to make sure that you wet your hands. But also show you this little handy dandy tool for scraping the sides and getting all the little bits and pieces together. And you can actually use that to kind of smooth your dough a little bit. But with wet hands, what you can also do is actually start to feel how the dough is behaving, right? So what you want to do is just kind of stretch it as you go. You're not really kneading. Kneading is a myth. You don't really knead dough, you stretch it to build gluten, right? To make sure that everything's really well mixed in there. You just want to keep doing this and doing this. All right, just go around the edge of the bowl, tuck towards the middle. I could show you this a little bit better this way. All right, you want to lift out and fold over. So you're constantly folding that dough. That is really looking very shaggy when you try to break that, stretch that dough. See how it just falls apart like that? What it needs is more time. So we mixed everything together, but we didn't let it really sit and go for about 30-40 minutes before it to really start to set up. But what I'm going to do very quickly here, if you can see this in film, I hope you can, is just give what's called a rimbaud stretch, rimbaud knead. And what you're doing is you're building up the gluten fibers here, right? You're convincing that flour to line up, get in line, to get together and pull. Everybody pulls together. The dough has structure. Alright, so a little bit more of that. And yeah, you know, your hands are going to get filthy as a result of this. It's okay. Learn to deal with it. It's not going to kill you. Alright, okay, so it's been about 30 minutes, and I'm just going to wet my hands really quick. Alright, and we'll see how this is doing now. You can see this is already hanging together much better than it was before. Alright, but what we're going to do to strengthen this is spray some water, wet your surface. And this adds hydration to the dough. This is a nice thing to do because it prevents it from drying out and it makes it a little bit easier for the gas to permeate through the dough when it actually goes to bake. Now what we're going to do here is just pull and stretch. Pull and stretch. And this is called a strong fold. All right? And when you get that so that it feels relatively good, all right, a couple of folds like that, it's going to go back into our bowl. There it is, and we're back after about 30 or 40 minutes, and what we're going to do is called a laminate. And what this consists of is turning your dough out and then stretching it like it's a pie crust. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So first we turn the dough out, and we're not going to be using this bowl anymore, so I'm just going to put it in the sink. And I'm going to spray down my hands a little bit so that they're wet, so that I can grab the dough and start to work it around the table in a circle. All right, this final step puts a little bit more hydration into the dough, and what you're doing is you're stretching it before the bubbles. We're about an hour into bulk fermentation, and the real breakdown of the yeast, of the flour by the yeast, has not really taken place yet. So we're not really degassing this at all. All we're doing is giving it a really good stretch. And you want to try to get this as thin as possible without breaking it. And just keep going until you get a big pizza pie. Right? And you get all of the thickness of the dough kind of evenly stretched out. And then what you're going to do is grab it, fold it in half, take the other side, do the same thing. And then this is the most important part. You really want to stretch this out. Pull and fold. Kind of tuck it out underneath. Pull and fold. And notice that as I'm doing this, it's actually bringing some bubbles up to the surface, and all I'm doing is popping them so that they don't create really huge holes in the final loaf. All right. So now what I'm going to do is take this guy and put it in here. Wash my hands really quick so that I can handle my stuff. And now notice that if I just put this over, it's going to hit the top of this. So I'm going to resort to my grocery bag trick. This is just an old grocery bag I have lying around. And now this will take between 6 and 12 hours to fully ferment. I showed you before the thermometer with the temperature in the room. It's about 70 degrees. That's 21 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, it's going to take about 8 hours to fully go through. But in between, every hour and a half or so, we're going to come back to this and do what's called a coil fold. And we'll take a look at it, and this will all flatten out, and I'll show you the technique for doing the coil fold so that you don't remove all the bubbles and you build up on the structure that you've created so far in your dough. All right, we're about 2 hours in, and everything's looking really good. I'm just going to wet my hands. My hands have been cleaned. And what I'm going to do is a quick coil fold. It's really simple. Just turn it around. And it's okay to stretch it out as much as you want. I'm going to do one more because that felt so good. Just going to go over it. And one more. Just going to clean it up a little bit and recover it. All right. Okay, so it's been about 3.5 hours. I'm going to wet my hands. And with wet, clean hands, I'm just going to do one more coil fold, and then I'm going to let it go for a while. Let's tuck it over. And another one. It's okay, it's pretty sticky still. A little bit, but notice that my hands are a lot cleaner coming away from it. And do one more tuck. And fold. Alright. And as you can see, that's really starting to stand up now on its own. The consistency of the dough is just silky smooth. It's nice to touch. And it's forming up into a nice little ball. And I'm just going to let that go and fully rise now. About 3 hours to go, and then I'll turn it out, shape it, and we'll put it in the fridge. Whoops. Stick a little bit. It's turned out to be quite a warm day, so the temperature is actually up to about 73 in here. So that's why it's rising a little bit quicker than I imagined. So maybe in about total of 7 hours, we'll shape it and put it into the fridge. And that's it for now. So it's been about 8 hours. Just popping that. Get rid of it. All right. And now what we want to do is turn this out and shape it. So I will start by just sprinkling the top with flour. Just set this to the side and dust the surface a little bit with water, with flour. And then turn this out. It's taking its sweet time. It's kind of sticking a little bit. That happens every once in a while. What you can do to release that is just simply put your fingers up inside and kind of gently peel away. Alright. Probably edit this out, but maybe we'll keep it. Alright. So there, it's released. And now what we want to do is fold this some more. Take a little bit more flour, put it base. Move that back a little bit. And shuttle some flour underneath. And take an edge, fold, and then bring the flour around to the other side. Fold, and then the idea is you want to get a nice tight roll. Right. Lift up this edge, and twist 3 or 4 times, and then seal the edges. And then notice that I am popping some of the bubbles that come out the side. All right. Now at this point, I'm just going to scoop up some of this flour and dust the top very gently. And now at this point, I'm going to take some a little bit of this stuff, which is dark rye flour. And I'll sprinkle the inside of my banneton with it. And I'm also going to take some brown rice flour. This makes for a really nice white coating on the outside of the bread. We'll see what comes out of the oven. Right, I'll set that over there. And then what I'm going to do is scoop under, turn over, lift up, and set in. All right. So I'm going to take a little bit more of my flour here. Throw that away. I'll sprinkle that over the top, like so. I'll take my bag, and this will rise about another 45 minutes before I put it into the fridge. It is almost 9 o'clock the next morning. I've taken my dough out of the freezer. And what I'm going to do is lay down some parchment paper and kind of gingerly transfer it onto the paper. Take my handy dandy safety razor, which isn't very safe in my hands, but that's okay. I'm going to first give it a squirt, and then I'm going to score it. All right, and you want to go at a 45-degree angle and just pull it like so. Right. And then I'm going to grab an ice cube, one set. And I'm going to set the ice cube right there. You'll see what's going to happen with that in a second. All right, I'm going to get out my oven mitts. Now, I'm using an iron, cast iron pot, domed pot called the Challenger. It's pretty cool. It's kind of expensive, but all cast irons are going to be kind of expensive. But this one is really kind of cool, and I'll show you. Alright, there's the Challenger. Close the oven. Get this over here, and what I'm going to do is take the ice cube in my hand and transfer the dough and drop the ice cube. You'll see why in a second. All that steam, right? And then that goes back in the oven. I put an ice cube in there to steam it, to get the steam level in the interior of that to the point where it allows the dough to expand and rise while it's in the process of baking. So the timer is in its final minute. I'm gonna just turn it off so that it doesn't bug us anymore. And I'm gonna put on my gloves because this is going to be hot. And this is a live reveal. Heavy. Nice. All right. Beautifully. And it has really, really nice ears on it. So that's the two things I was looking for. This spring, I'm going to put it back in. It's been about 3 hours. This is completely cooled down. Let's take this out of the way. And let's get some light on the situation. And let's see, I'm gonna slice it from this end. All right, watching my fingers here. Let's see how it came out. You can hear the crunch. Now, the reason why I like to not cover while in the fridge is because you get this really, really nice crust on the bottom. Look at that. And you'll notice it's got a really open crumb. There are decent holes here. I look for equal distribution, and I don't like to see these very big holes. That's just because it's winter, and the fermentation is a little bit more sporadic when the temperature gets down below 70, let's say, or 20 degrees Celsius. But overall, that's got really nice spring to it. The overall shape of the loaf is really great, nice and round, with an open crumb. And that's sourdough in a nutshell. Let's see, how does it smell? Oh, that smells so good. All right. See you next time.